Number 1, Oklahoma versus number 3, Florida State. It's a rematch of the 2021 finals, but let's start with how they got here, starting with Oklahoma finally challenged by Stanford and Nigeria Kennedy, and then Florida State 3 bombs when they're normally playing a lot of small ball. What'd you see?
You know, it hasn't been an easy road for the Sooners, and I think Nigeria Kennedy and Stanford, and we can't forget Clemson too, the Clemson Tigers, giving a run for money. So it hasn't been an easy road for Oklahoma, but like you said, it's been a low-scoring affair for the Sooners, which we're not used to, but can't say enough about Nigeria Kennedy and the entire Stanford squad, their performance here at the Women's College World Series. But any team that has a Jordy Ball in the circle is going to be a tough squad to beat. I don't think we're talking enough about Jordy Ball, and I know there's a little chatter about it, but any squad that has her in the circle is going to be tough to take down.
And then Florida State got past Tennessee last night, 3 bombs, like I mentioned, and, you know, just a lot of players coming through.
Absolutely. Florida State, they're just firing on all cylinders, and that's what Lonnie Alameda said in the presser earlier this week. And can't say enough about that pitching staff. They do historically pitch by committee, and they've done that all season long, but we've really seen Sandra Koch step up in the circle for the Noles, and she's been having to do it and being a little bit uncomfortable this season. Lonnie has put her in to start. She's put her in the middle of games. She's put her in to close, so she's really comfortable throwing in any inning and any ball game.
So let's move on to preview the actual matchup between Oklahoma and Florida State. These two teams faced earlier in the season. Florida State put them on the schedule, and it was a narrow victory by 1 run. I think Alex Storako gave up a big bomb, but then Jordy Ball came in and just finished it off. What did we learn from that matchup?
So I think they're very different squads from then to now, but in looking back, we can take a look, and we spoke about it a little bit in the open, but the Seminoles, they used 4 different arms in the circle. Sandra Koch, she faced 10 batters. McKenna Reed, she faced 6. Ellie Dubois faced 7. And Allison Royalty, she faced 9. So you saw a complete pitching staff go in to that matchup in Norman. And we saw home runs in that series as well. So we're going to see the ball most likely get out of the yard here. Both Janai Kerr and Dak had a home run for the Noles, and then Lee and Jennings for OU. So the ball did leave the yard in that matchup, but again, 2 very different teams coming into today because they've seen a lot since then.
So you mentioned FSU pitch by committee. We saw that against Tennessee, but Sandra Koch going the distance, clearly the ace of this program. What do you think of a Jordy Ball, Sandra Koch matchup?
Well, I think a lot of the chatter around this Women's College World Series is, do you go with your ace? Do you go with pitch by committee? And I do think that Lonnie Alameda is going to put Catherine Sandra Koch in the circle today, because when you're facing this type of matchup, you want to go with your ace. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw multiple arms in the circle, but I do think we're going to see a Sandra Koch versus Ball in the circle for Game 1.
And then let's talk about the Seminoles offense. Edenfield has been really big this whole Women's College World Series. Clutch moments. Kaylee Mudge, how big are those players in particular, and just this offense? Is that the key to beating OU?
Absolutely. I think that the key is to put the ball in play and put pressure on the defense. Oklahoma has an incredible defense, but we saw that there are some times where they have been exposed, and we saw Clemson do that a little bit and had a big inning against the Sooners. So it is something that can happen. But yes, Michaela Edenfield, her power, along with Mudge, still just 2 seasons ago had 14 hits in the Women's College World Series. So I think if that complete offense can not only get on base, but like we've seen, I mean, Florida State, they're the best at running the bases. I'm okay saying it. They're the best in the business, but putting pressure on that defense and getting runners in motion and really putting pressure on the defense is going to be key.
Yeah, and that defense, not to mention, is not too shabby. Josie Muffley over at shortstop making insane plays.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're going to get a highlight from Muffley, I'm sure, in this series.
And lastly, Tara, let's turn our attention to OU's offense. Just how great is their ability to adjust? I mean, players like Tiare Jennings, Jada Coleman, they're getting, beat by Kennedy, and then Jennings figures it out.
that is why OU is so tough to beat. They are incredible at making adjustments. Can't say enough about JT Gasso and what he does with that offense. And you saw Tiari Jennings swinging up balls over her head in all of her at-bats prior to getting that base hit to score those 2 runs. But that is why they are so difficult to beat. They're able to make not only at-bat from at-bat, but in at-bat adjustments. And I think that when you're facing an offense like that with Jada Coleman at the top, even Riley Boone at the bottom in the 9 spot, turning that lineup over, and then you don't have a breath. You can't take a breath in that offense. So really good pitching and is going to have to shut that offense down. And Florida State does have that.
Absolutely. Do you think Sandercock can silence the OU lineup in the way that Nigeri Kennedy was able to do?
You know, I don't know that she has the same ability as Kennedy. I think that she's a smart pitcher, though, and I think that why Kat Sandercock has been so effective is that she's able to game plan. She's able to know how to attack hitters, and she's just unshakable on the mound. I don't know if you saw when she was called for taking too much time. She just said, "I got you" with Michella Edenfield, and she's poised. She's got a ton of leadership, and I do think she is going to lead the Noles in the circle. And if she's got a good game, I think they got a shot at taking this game 1.
All right, we're going to bring on Florida State alum Sydney Sherrill. She's going to help us break down the series as well. All right, we welcome in Sydney Sherrill, an FSU alum who won a title here in 2018. Sydney, how is it being back on the flip side now and watching this team go on this amazing run?
Yeah, it's definitely different being up in the stands and not down on the field, but I had my time, and so I think it's really cool to just watch the girls that came after me and see how hard they've worked. And I played with a lot of them, so I'm their biggest fan now, and it's awesome to just be an alumni and be a part of that group and watch them compete and now play for a national championship is really awesome.
And you said you know a lot of them, you play with them. What have you noticed in the team this year that has been different from a squad just a season ago?
Yeah, I think last year we definitely were super confident throughout season, and then postseason happened and we lost out and kind of like had nothing to go to. It was an unfamiliar feeling, and it sucked. And I think the girls have a little bit of, vengeance, I guess, to get back to and get here to the College World Series, or even really just make it past regionals this year was the goal. And they have a great team this year, and they've been able to put it together a little bit better than we did last year. And so I'm just super proud of them, and the way Kat Sandercock has stepped up, I think, is incredible. I think she, in my opinion, is the star and the glue that's held them together. Devin Flaherty, another one, a leader on the team that's held them together, and then obviously Michella Edenfield with the big bat. So I think we just keep playing how we are. I think it'll be great games between us and OU.
So Sydney, you've seen Oklahoma play here. You have played them in the past. You know how hard they are to beat. Absolutely. What does this team need to do to beat them twice?
I think talent-wise, we were talking about it at the hotel last night. I mean, they're a talented team. Up and down the lineup, talent, just like back in 2021 when we played them in the World Series, the national championship actually. They had no hitter hitting like under 400, and we had no hitter hitting above 300. It was almost seemed impossible, but we came out with the win that first game. And I think one thing we do really well is we stick together as a family. We know how to win, whether it's with the home run, with the bunt, whatever it is, and we have the great pitching to go behind it. So I don't know what they need to do. They just need to play their game. OU's great, but so is Florida State. So I think it's going to be a great series. I think everyone also knows that. I think it's going to be a little more rough for me because I'm going to be I'm in the stands taking it from the other 12,000 fans. But it's gonna be so much fun. I'm excited. I'm playing now with Jocelyn and Lindsay Elam. So we had practice this morning and the jokes, and Amber Flores, alumni, OU alumni, saying boomer at the end. It's killing me, but I'm excited for the Noles to just go out there and put on a show.
And you spoke a little bit, Sydney, about obviously playing here and now being a fan, and now you're playing professional. What can young girls and young players that are watching the Women's College World Series, what should they be looking for to maybe learn from some of their role models and athletes?
I think the passion, honestly. I think it's obvious how much passion from all teams. I think we see it. It gets even we get put down as women that, you know, having all this passion. And I think it's sad to see because our sport has grown so much and they don't put down the men in baseball. So I think the passion and the love for the game, I think knowing that, you know, the opportunities for pro leagues and things like that are coming, but, you know, this is kind of the peak of softball, and just seeing the passion on the field and the want, I think it's going to, you know, put a lot of inspiration into young girls and want to get back here, want to play here at the Hall of Fame and the Women's College World Series.
All right, and how important do you think it will be to win Game 1? Is that something that you think is vital for FSU?
I do. I think it's vital. I think Game 1 is huge. But I also know that we won Game 1 in 2021, and OU is a powerful team, obviously. I think, you know, it's 2 games. You got to win 2 games, and it's strategic, pitching, the hitting. It's going to be who's going to out-team the other team, because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to be. And I think Florida State needs to win Game 1. Obviously, they need to win Game 1.
We need to win Game 1.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Sydney, Sherrill, thank you so much for joining us and breaking it down. We've got a great series coming up. Number 1, Oklahoma versus Florida State. It's going to be a good one.